Welcome to the Save Childhood podcast with Jennifer McCarville. Because childhood has changed, but children have not. Hey everyone, welcome to the Save Childhood podcast.
I'm Jennifer McCarville.
And I'm Nicole Dugan. And we're happy to be back. And today we're going to talk about what school should look like for children. Recently, there was a Google image going around that I happened to see, and it was "School makes me." And here are the things that were listed underneath it. School makes me feel suicidal, anxious, cry, feel stupid, depressed, sick, tired, stressed.
I know you shared that with me. It makes me really emotional right now too. And I think my understanding was that that image was what people are Googling. So that people are wanting to know, or trying to find maybe people to connect with what they're struggling with. So a lot of people are searching. School makes me feel depressed. School makes me feel sad. I think, wow. And also, of course, we cannot discount that there are plenty of people who would happily say school makes me happy or inspired or, so I guess the question is, how can you create a space? How can any of us, and how do we here at our school create a space that is the best possible for children, that we don't want our children ever to be Googling that. Right. That's the goal, is that what's happening, that this is what children are asking or how they're feeling about school. We do know there is a mental health care crisis in our country. Mm-hmm. We know that there are some really strong correlations between that health care crisis for young children, for young people, and the pressure in school and the testing and the removal of vitally important things like recess for children and breaks and and they can't even go home because they're and not be doing school. In a lot of schools, there's so much homework. There's so much, what's happening that is making children feel this way. And how have we created, and how have other people created places where these children will never Google those things?
Yeah.
Right.
We want the children that come to our school, and I'm sure you want the same for the children in your classroom or for your children at home.
Absolutely.
To go to school and feel safe.
Right. A sense of belonging. We want them to feel like they belong there. This is your place. So that comes acceptance,
Mm-hmm.
And safe, acceptance, joy, cozy. I like a lack of pressure. Like when I walk in here, I can breathe, and because really, if you can't, relax, and if you have your guard up all the time, it makes it very difficult to learn anything.
Right. If your emotional needs aren't being met, there is no learning to be had.
There's no learning. Right. Right. And what we know is that, the emotional needs of children are really they're out in front. They lead, especially in early childhood. Mm-hmm. It's, they don't have the ability to separate their emotions. They don't have social situational awareness.
Right.
They just don't. They have to learn to develop that, but they can't develop it at these young ages. So when they come in and they feel like they belong and they feel safe, they're going to be able to relax into that and thrive in all areas, emotionally, socially, academically.
Right. So let's talk about what the environment looks like or should look like, and why we spend so much time making our environments beautiful and inviting and relaxed. Now, that doesn't mean there are no boundaries or guidelines in the environment,
Right.
But let's talk about our environments and what we are intentional about doing.
Okay, so the environment is a huge piece of what happens at school, what happens to us anywhere. I mean, when you walk in different places, you feel differently. There are places you walk in that, aren't well kept, that maybe smell funky, that, things like that. And you just feel ick, You know, you don't you don't want to feel like you're spending your life in an institution.
Right.
You know, we're human beings and they're souls that we're doing soul work. And so we want them to come into a place where the environment kind of makes them feel that snuggly, cozy place that smells good and sounds good. So we've spent a lot of time researching and practicing with the environment, creating spaces that have calming colors. So, you know, many years ago, I researched color impact on people, the color theories that go with that. And at different stages of development, what colors help you to feel creative and relaxed. And we used that information to inform how we painted the classrooms. We also bring in a lot of natural materials. We want the colors to be soft. These overstimulating classrooms for children with junk all over the walls and you know, in the name of, if we've put everything on the wall where they can see it, they can learn it. I mean, the cost, which is what I will often say, that every choice we make has a potential cost. And so I guess every choice we make has a cost, but the cost is too high for so many of the choices we've been making for children. So our environments, paying attention to the fact that that overstimulation can make it really hard to focus. So there's a real gentleness visually about the classrooms. The teachers keep everything tidy, and the clutter can be overwhelming for adults and children. So
true.
You know, and we have places where they can be cozy, always an option to sit. You know,
or stand. They
Or
don't
stand.
necessarily have to sit, right?
Yeah, that's true. And we are able to just roll with that and respect it and not take issue. We're meeting their needs in the environment by those things. We also often, most of the time, have some really soft, gentle instrumental music playing. There's something very relaxing about that. And we make sure that the rooms smell good. So we do have diffusers in all of the classrooms. And of course, we're very careful about what type of essential oils we'll use. We use plant therapy in our school, the Kids Safe line.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're making sure to tick off all of the senses. You know, it's visually gentle and kind. It smells good. You know, it sounds lovely. It does have a variety of textures in the environment. We bring a lot of natural things inside. So just automatically, as children walk in or people walk in, you can almost let your breath out. You know, I think you almost feel like, oh, it's calm and organized, and I can think about what I want to do here.
Yeah, and the environment is essentially the third teacher, they say, right?
Yes, that's true.
So the time spent to make it beautiful is worth it. And also, as a teacher, one thing that I learned from you is the environment also helps your classroom management as far as where your tables are, the shelves in a certain spot to maybe prevent running through the room.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and
movement, but not chaos.
Right.
Right.
And so how you set it up matters.
Absolutely. And I am, of course, many years ago, 30 plus years ago, when I started in the field, and still this is the practice in a lot of schools for young children, are these isolated, very conforming areas of learning centers, which is how I was taught to set up a classroom. And the challenges with that are, well, for one thing, children need to move things and they need to move their bodies to learn. There was a lot of policing children with that. You know, you had one area where they could look at books and one area where they went to do science and one area that was the home center. And at Marvelously Made, you know, we've never employed that practice. And that was one of those big changes that I made in starting my own school. And I mean, it's just a beautiful thing for children because they flow easily. It's okay. You move things inside and outside or from here across the room because that's where they're going to work better for the brilliant idea you have. You need something from over there to make this thing over here work, and that's fine. You just do that. But yet there's such a sense of where things go. It's very intentional, very purposeful. But we take care of all of that on our end so the children can come in and do what children do, and we're not constantly, no, you can't touch that. No, you have to use this way. That goes like that. You won't hear any of that language
Right.
in our classrooms.
And that's because the things that are on the shelves, the children can touch. They
Absolutely.
know that they know what is available to work with, and the things maybe that are higher up are in baskets that are teacher tools.
I mean, and there's just an automatic understanding there. If it's out of reach or you can't see it because it's in a basket up high, then that's obviously not something that you know. But again, if a child actually could reach a basket and they pulled it down and looked in it, then we would say, you know, how can I help you? What are you looking for? And help them get what they need. But these environments are for children. The number one guiding principle in creating spaces for children is that they have to be for children. So they should be able to touch things as much as they want to. They should be able to explore. They should be able, if they can reach it, they should be able to use it. And we need to keep that in mind. And when they grab something they're not supposed to, that's on us, not on them.
Right.
And we need to rethink how we have things available, what we have available, and what should be out of sight. So they know cabinets that are closed, usually that's not something they get into. And if they do, they're just curious, they're just looking for something.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And it might be in there. It's magical stuff.
Yeah, and one thing that I love about the farmhouse, which is our preschool ages 3 through 5, is when they come through the door, they are free to just get started. They're not waiting for everyone to arrive. You don't have to police them to, we're not ready yet, or don't start yet. They come in and they get started with whatever they're interested in. And I think that's a shift that teachers everywhere could incorporate.
Right. I mean, you know, I was taught the children come in, they put their name in the right pocket, they come sit on a square in the gathering area, which circle time, we actually don't call it circle time, it doesn't build community. We definitely use the term gathering time because it is a time of community and gathering, and we want these environments to create community and belonging. And so we have a gathering time, and then but when I started in the classroom, they came in, they sat down at circle time, and they couldn't move, and everybody sat down and got ready, and you had to wait for everybody. And the children are so excited to be at school, and they're looking around the classroom, and they're eager to get back into what they were doing on their last school day. But no, you can't touch that because I haven't told you what to do with it yet. And actually, children are made to learn. So we need to create environments that spark that desire to learn and nurture it and draw it out, and risk taking, because learning is about taking a risk. And so when we say to them, no, you don't know how to use that, it doesn't align with what we know about children. You know, one of those big reasons that I had to go another way in education, of course they know how to use it. And our job is to encourage them to try things out and experiment. So we don't do that at all. They come right in, they get busy, the environment is completely prepared for them, and the teachers are available if they need them. Of course, the goal is that they really don't need the teacher for direct instruction most of the day. So
Right.
Another thing is, as they move through our school, of course, that those rhythms of our day match their development. And there are more teacher-directed times and direct instruction times through the years of the early childhood. And then, of course, once you go into the collective 4th through 8th grade, that will look a little different too. But every classroom, no matter how old the children have freedom and space to try out their own ideas and to change things.
And often their ideas are way better than what we thought we wanted them to do with the materials anyway.
So much more fun, right? Yes. And so that's another reason we want to have those materials where we can give them what they ask for when they need it.
Now, there are certain tools that have rules that we do teach with, hammers and nails.
Right. And so in the environment, something to consider with those materials is you can't put those out on the table for the children to walk in and figure out, or you're not going to be able in those first 20-ish minutes of everyone coming together and melding into the day to just have hammers and nails out with preschoolers or and maybe kindergartners. It definitely depends on the group, etc. But those you would keep. A lot of our teachers, all of our teachers in our preschool, which we call the farmhouse, all of those teachers wear an apron type of, like a half apron, waist apron, I guess, that has pockets and stuff. So they'll keep those things in their pockets. And once the children have had some practice with those tools, those things that could hurt them or other people if they didn't have kind of a direct hand over hand help, aren't just left available for them.
Right.
They're very intentionally incorporated into the environment. But once the children have been shown the basics of the tool usage, then they're very responsible. They thrive on important and real work.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. With real tools.
With real tools. And because of that, a lot of people ask us if we're a Montessori school, but we're not. So there are some big differences there. But I did want to tell you something about what we want the environment to feel like. So our children in the collective school are studying the Civil War. And they've been talking about, and I know you went down and talked to them too. So we had this great opportunity to go down. It's kind of down the hill, so I say go down there. And they had a group of children that wanted to interview several of us on staff. And so in my interview, I had 4 children interviewing me. And in my interview, one of the questions they asked me was, what are the words that remind you of our school? And I said, cozy and inspiring. And we talked for a minute, and I said, do you guys agree with those words? And they said yes. And I said, what other words would you use that I didn't mention? And the first one was safe. And I thought, wow, how many children don't feel safe at school? And this child, of course, who's in 6th grade, has no idea what a blessing that is to feel safe, which of course, safety is our number one consideration. But that just really, really struck my heart. Like, that's really what matters. I feel safe. I belong here. Right. It's cozy. And once they can feel safe, learning can really, really abound.
Right.
So...
And we talk a lot about child-led learning here.
Yes, we do.
Tell us more.
So child-led learning means that in our environment and in our approach, child-led learning means that we do allow the child to lead us with what they're interested in and what they're doing, and we see our role as support. So in other words, when they're in creative endeavors or they're exploring, something open-ended or building with loose parts and things like that, it's our job to observe that and to give them more materials to nurture that, or to give them a new way to look at it the next day by setting up what we call an invitation and to learn, and then really respecting their ideas and what they want to learn about and where they want to go. It doesn't mean that we don't have direct instruction in academics or that they're allowed to do whatever they want to do, but it does mean we respect that they're made to learn and their curiosities and their interests should be supported by us.
Right.
So that's our application of that phrase.
And you always say you can learn anything
outside, you can learn inside. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So our outdoor environments are also very thoughtful and intentional and have lots of things, science and art experiences and problem solving things. And they have gardens, the children garden, and lots of loose parts so the children can create. But there are books and handwork and lots of opportunities and experiences outside too.
Clipboards for writing.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Geoboards and math materials and other things like that. And oftentimes teachers are pulling children in small groups outside to do a teacher-led lesson. We call those small group lessons. So yes, they can spend a lot of time outside, no matter their age here, and there's plenty that they're learning and doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One thing that is really different about our school from other schools is the teachers are sitting in the environment as
Yes.
opposed to being required to stand all the time.
That's really hard for some teachers when they come here,
Yeah.
isn't it? So, well, with a well-prepared environment where children's needs are met by that environment inherently, the children hopefully don't need us very much. So I always joke, you need to be down, get down, everybody get down. You're not police officers. Your job isn't to stand over the children and, bark orders or, what have you. Your job is to observe and document and reset materials and step in if they need you for any conflict, etc. So the teachers are, usually sitting, taking story dictations, doing other things with the children, or just observing and kind of getting out of their way.
Right.
Yeah, which, when we were children, we just played. There weren't adults all stationed around telling us what to do and how to do everything. And no wonder children say, school makes me feel stressed, or being in those environments, and they're in them for so many hours. So not only are these environments taxing and stressful, but they're extensive hours sometimes.
Right.
Not that it's okay to do that for just a few hours either. Don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that. But yes, I can understand why they're saying it feels stressful, because there are adults now telling children what to do every second of every day.
Right. There's not
So
any
unhealthy.
time or space to process and wonder and think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want children to be robots. We know that AI and robots are coming in to play their own part as society progresses, and that's fine. But humans need to be human. We need to be able to think. We need to be able to problem solve. We need to challenge our brains in those ways. And so we give the children space to do that. And it also is very helpful and intentional. We spend a lot of time in training talking about trusting children to do what they need to do and knowing what that looks like. And so that is definitely a blessing for our children.
Of course.
And yeah.
One of the other things that sets our school apart is the fact that we have multi-age classrooms.
Yes, we do. So in what we call the farmhouse, which is the 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds, we'll have some 5-year-olds in there if they need an extra year before they move on to kindergarten. They have a summer birthday, and their parents, they're not finished in that developmental stage yet, which there's no shame in that.
They have the gift of time.
They have the gift of time. And so then we have the kindergarten, which is we call the cottage. And our kindergarten, I would call us our only standalone classroom as far as chronological age goes. However, yes, the children have to be 5. That is a minimum expectation before they go into the cottage. But we do have some children that'll spend 2 years there, because we're able to meet many different types of thinkers and neurodivergent children. We will have a child in the cottage who might be several years older. And so there's still a multi-age component that's welcomed there. It's about development. So yes, typically they're 5 by September 1st. And really, I kind of jokingly say, like, that 5-year-old is like having a 3-year span in development.
So true.
Because yes, and you taught in our kindergarten for many,
Yes.
many years. Started the kindergarten here, and then
the amount of growth that they show in 1 year.
Yeah.
At that. Yeah.
It's really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And the growth they show in that 1 year, and also the spectrum of development in that 1 year. It's such a transitional year for children. And so that one does stand alone. We actually tried a K1 mix. And that's a beautiful thing as well. But we really do feel like that's the best case scenario for those children. And we're happy we can do that. And then our primary class is for 2nd and 3rd grade. And they do have different classroom teachers for the different developmental stages, but we also are able to put children where they need to be. And we don't call any of them by grade, which we always joke with parents about, and ourselves on the staff we find comical because they don't know what grade they're in, and we don't know what grade they're in. And so we name them by trees in there. And that way we can say, okay, yes, you're traditionally second grade, but we know that you need to be in this group for this experience, or when they have their work block, they can do work on a really broad spectrum.
Yeah, it's really cool to see maybe the older kids in that building nurturing and leading the younger ones, or maybe the younger ones are teaching the older ones something that they know too. It's just really cool to see them work together and learn things from each other.
So beautiful and so normal. I mean, we're not the same age. We're not even born in the same year. So, and that's just life. Like, you're learning how to get along with people of all different ages and stages of life. And that's community. And community is really important to us, and it always has been. I believe strongly that we are meant to be in community together. And it is a really incredible thing to get to see these children really celebrate one another and feel good about themselves, because they can help each other, like you said, whether it's the older or the younger, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
They don't even know that.
Right. Is there anything else that you want to share with us about what school should look like for children?
Oh gosh, I mean, I think we could talk about that a long time, and I know we'll have many other opportunities to talk on specific topics, but I think that the most important thing, school should be a place where children have loving and accepting relationships with the teachers and with the other children. When we talk about the environment, we've worked 15 years on creating the environments, and they've been evolving with us. And they are beautiful aesthetically. But these are the same things that we did when we started in a very small church building with really not the most nurturing colors on the wall, and definitely not the beautiful furnishings we have now. But what has been since the beginning, and what will always remain for us, is that relationship, that availability and coziness and connection, and the environment of emotion is the number one most important thing. And that environment has to really be bathed in, I see you, I understand you, you belong here, you're safe. And so no matter what the aesthetics are, really it's the relationships that's what school should look like. School should look like where you are is great, and what you need is important, and you are complete right where you are. So I think that's the thing I want us to go away from that conversation.
Yeah,
thanks.
I love that. So you might be wondering how to join the movement. You can go to savechildhood.org. And there's information there about our 14 tenets that we believe everyone can do to help save childhood.
Absolutely. We know you can.
Yes. And there's resources there and more information. Also, like us on Facebook and Instagram. And that's it for today. What school should look like for children?
Places they belong.
Right. They belong there. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Have a great day.
See you next time. Thanks for joining us today. To learn more and join the movement, go to savechildhood.org.